I was impressed with that move you pulled. Bang.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, it's G, it's DMC, the undefeated, undisputed YouTube champion. That's right, it's the Maverick, Mark Daniels. And we're here with the Raw review for August 14, 2017, live from Boston, Massachusetts. And quick shout out to Boston. Great crowd tonight. A great crowd always makes a show that much better, even if it was already a good show, which it was tonight, I thought. Overall, there was some misses, in my opinion. We'll talk about those as we progress through the show. But overall, I was pretty happy for the show. I'm very excited for this weekend. I almost forgot. I don't know why. I kind of forgot that NXT was also this weekend. So we have NXT TakeOver. We have Summerslam. And then, of course, we got Raw and SmackDown. 4 nights of WWE wrestling. It can sometimes be a little overwhelming. But I am excited for Summerslam. And so I'm pretty excited for NXT TakeOver as well. We'll do, of course, predictions for SummerSlam and for NXT TakeOver this weekend. But for now, we're talking about Raw. So we start things off. They show what happened between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins last week. And that starts off with Ambrose coming to the ring. He immediately calls out Seth Rollins. He is pissed because he put his fist out and Rollins left him out there, making him look very stupid. He was not very happy about it. So Seth comes out then. He says, okay, you know what? I'm ready to let bygones be bygones. No more games. Let's just do this. Puts his fist out, and Dean refuses it. Seth, the crowd pops, of course. The crowd popped throughout the entire segment, which was great. Dean finally decides to put his fist out again. Seth walks away. Dean pulls him back, and Seth, doesn't like that. He starts walking away again. Dean does it again. They start shoving each other. They start fighting. They start fighting all over the outside of the ring. Here comes Cesaro and Sheamus to start to take advantage of them. They start beating the shit out of them, which was great. And then, of course, Dean and Ambrose. Dean and Seth got together. They rallied up. They ended up winning the fight against Cesaro and Sheamus. Stood tall there. They look at each other, both just sweaty and just out of breath. They just had a big old fight together. Both put their fists out at the same time. Crowd pops big time, which was awesome. And then Angle comes out immediately, and the crowd starts chanting, "You suck." And they won't even let Angle talk. I mean, this crowd was hot tonight. It was great. Kurt just talks over them. He announces that they're going to be a tag team title match with Seth and Dean versus Cesaro and Sheamus, which I'm kind of surprised about. Originally, the beginning of, I don't want to say the beginning of this month, but the beginning of this whole road to SummerSlam here, I fully expected there to be a Fatal 4-Way tag team title match. I thought we were going to see Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Revival. Of course, they got injured, versus the Good Brothers and versus the Hardys, because they kind of made that, I don't know, that's what the way it was kind of booked at first, right? You had the Revival attacking the Hardys. You had the Good Brothers beat the Hardys. Hardys beat the Good Brothers. And it was going kind of back and forth between those three teams. So it was logical for me to set up a four-team battle royal, whatever you want to do. But I like this better. And this storyline has been developing so well, and this could end in so many different ways. It's very exciting. I do want to see Seth and Dean win the tag titles before we do a turn. And let them hold it. You can stretch this out for a while. No need to give us the payout right away. We can have Seth and Dean. They could even lose this match to kind of build some doubt between them, some more tension between the two, and then you can have them win the tag team titles at the next pay-per-view. You let them keep the tag titles for a while, then you let them get a little bit more tension around WrestleMania, and you can have yourself a real solid WrestleMania match between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Maybe one eliminates one out of the Royal Rumble, but ultimately I think this has to end with Dean turning heel on Seth. Dean has been stale for a while, although this is really reigniting him, in my opinion, and making him interesting again. But I want to see Dean Ambrose, a solo heel Dean Ambrose, and see what he can do. This lunatic fringe, goofy gimmick, I want to see him more serious and see what he can really do on his own. But regardless, I'm excited for this. Plus, this will make Dean a Triple Crown champion for sure. I think with the current day requirements from WWE, he'll also be considered a Grand Slam champion. Because I think in the current Grand Slam, it's in Wikipedia. I'm not going to look it up right now, but it's in Wikipedia. And I think they replaced they call it Hereditary title? I don't know. The European Hardcore title, whatever it was. They replaced it with the U.S. title, I believe. So I think for Grand Slam's standards now, you have to have the tag titles, the WWE title, not the Universal yet. Universal isn't considered under that, although it should. It's basically the same thing. the U.S. Intercontinental and Tag titles to be considered a Grand Slam champion. So Dean would be considered a Grand Slam champion if that definition is true, which is pretty cool. But overall, going back to this segment was awesome. The crowd was super hot for it. I popped for it. I was very excited for it. They've been building this up very well. This is the first storyline in a while, in my opinion. They've really been building up quite well. Now, Cass and Enzo stuff was good. But then, like a couple weeks after that happened, it started to slow down a lot, and they lost a lot of momentum. Luckily, I think they got a lot of that momentum back tonight, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. Then we had the first match of the night. It was Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks. #1 contenders match winner faces Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. And Alexa Bliss had the best seat in the house. She got her own little throne, which was cool. It reminded me of a lifeguard chair. If you've ever been to like a local pool or anything, those little tall things that lifeguards sit at to watch the pool, make sure no one's drowning. That's what it reminded me of. But the match itself was pretty good. I thought this was a good match. Probably one of Nia's, if not the best match Nia's ever had. Sasha sold. Of course, was her hometown. They were very hot for Sasha. In fact, they were even chanting for Sasha before the match even started. Then Nia came out, and they were just really waiting for Sasha Banks. This match ended with Sasha Banks getting the bank statement locked in. Nia ended up getting out of it, picking her up, getting ready to do a power move. Maybe it looked kind of like a power slam. Not quite sure what she was going for there. Maybe a scoop slam. Sasha reverses into a DDT, almost a tornado DDT. It kind of was a tornado DDT. And then locks in the bank statement one more time, and Nia taps out. Not the best way to book Nia Jax, in my opinion. You have this woman tapping out way too much if you try to make her a giant, this real credible threat of a woman. But it makes Sasha look very strong, which is important going into SummerSlam. And I think Sasha's going to win it. I think Sasha's going to beat Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. You have her win the title, and then we can start working towards that Bayley heel turn that I think needs to happen. I talked about this last week. And I think some people are starting to get on board with that idea. I've been seeing it a little bit more and more. Talked about on social media, on Facebooks and on the Twitters. But I think it's necessary. Her character's very stale. What she's doing now is just not working. I think we got to do something different with Bayley. Something that's not so expected, although now people are starting to pick up on it, starting to kind of expect it a little bit. But people still think it's ridiculous. It'll never happen. Her character is who she is. She can even hit some of the kendo stick houses. You just make this jealousy build up, and you just have her just snap, man. Just have her snap. Destroy Sasha Banks. I think that would be a pretty exciting moment. And it would be a very surprising and shocking moment as well. Maybe even do it right after she wins the title at SummerSlam. Let Bayley come out. You should probably wait till she's clear, but she comes out, celebrates with Sasha, gives her, and I described this last week. She gives her a big old hug, and they're all happy, and everyone's cheering. This is awesome. Whatever. This is such a heartwarming moment. And all of a sudden, Bayley doesn't let go of the hug. She keeps this locked in very tight. You can see Sasha's facial expression change from happy to concern and confusion. Boom, Bayley to Bayley, and then you have her pull out some weapons, just start beating the shit out of Sasha, hold the title belt at the end of the show, and I think that would be an incredible moment. But anyways, moving on here, we have the Hardys with Kurt backstage. They're kind of talking about how the Revival's injured, so they're not going to have a match at SummerSlam, and then The Miz interrupts him, and Kurt Angle mentions that he's going to give the match that he was supposed to have last week, Jason Jordan versus Curtis Axel. Miz says, what, I'll face Jason instead. And Kurt's like, great, Jason will love that. And then a referee runs in. He says, hey, there's a problem with Finn and Bray. So Kurt runs out, and they're brawling each other. They're beating the shit out of each other. Kurt breaks it up, says, you know what? You guys don't want to wait till SummerSlam? We'll do it tonight. So they end up having a match later tonight. And then that starts up with Who Wants to Walk with Elias? Elias comes out, does his thing. I thought this was awesome. The crowd ate it up big time. He goes out there, and the one line that really made me laugh. He literally just says, the people here are disgusting, and the crowd just starts booing the shit out of him. It was pretty funny. R-Truth came out to interrupt him. Elias attacks R-Truth before he even gets finished rapping, and he hits his new finisher called the Drift Away. It looks like a fisherman's neck breaker. Best way I could describe it, where he set him for a fisherman's suplex and kind of rotates him onto a neck breaker. Just kind of describe what it looks like if you didn't see it. So he's not using the Crossroads anymore, though he had a different name for it. I forget what he calls it now. But during this, Cole referred to him as Elias Sampson a couple times, so I don't know if that was just a slip-up on his part. As you guys probably know, his last name got dropped. His name is just Elias, so I don't know if he's going to get a verbal lashing backstage from Vince McMahon, or if they're still going to consider him to be Elias Sampson. I don't really care either way, but just thought that was interesting to note. Then Big Cass came out. Now, granted, there was a lot of talking on the show tonight. Not a lot of wrestling, which is fine. Only 6 matches, I believe. Only 6 matches. And technically, one of them turned into another match. So really, there's only 5 different matches on the show. But everything was fine. Everything was good. Everything was, for the most part, exciting. I didn't mention this, but I liked the whole segment with Elias. It was great. Elias got some good heat there. Big Ass came out with the shark cage already in the ring, and the crowd wouldn't even let him talk. This was great. This was the hottest these two have been in a while, Cass and Enzo, and I really enjoyed this. I'm glad that Boston really laid into Cass, giving him, Casshole chants, asshole chants, whatever it was. I'm assuming they were chanting Casshole. They wouldn't even let him talk. He kept having to repeat this phrase, this Sunday at SummerSlam, and the crowd would just boo louder. And he would just sit there, and he would do it again. Crowd would keep booing him. And then he said, I'll do this here all night. And he just kept going on and on. Eventually, he finally said what he wanted to say. He mentioned he's the big guy in town. Enzo needs Big Show because he needs someone to, do his dirty work for him. Big Show needs someone to keep him relevant because he's the new 7-footer in town. He is the big guy in town. Enzo comes out to a massive pop. This was great. He did his shtick. Crowd was very much into it. He even mocked Cass, which was a little bit of a shoot, I think, where he kept saying, this Sunday at SummerSlam, this Sunday at SummerSlam. And I thought that was pretty funny. You could tell you could just tell in his face that he wasn't happy about that. But this was good stuff overall. Big Show comes out. Cass hits Enzo because Enzo's on the side of the ring. And this starts with Big Show and Cass find each other. Then the Good Brothers come out to aid Big Cass. They get him on the ground. They tie a leather belt around his wrist, put his hand into the shark cage, and they slam the shark cage into his wrist. And then Cass just starts stomping the shit out of the Big Show. Obviously, Big Show going into this match with an injured wrist and hand. The hand that he KO punches with. So this should very easily be a easy win for Big Cass over the Big Show, I would imagine. And you can even have him just beat the shit out of the Big Show, just injure the shit out of him, take him off the shelf, all while Enzo has to watch from the shark cage. I think that would be pretty brutal, but it could be good storytelling. So then we have the second match of the night. Probably, I'm going to look down the list real fast. I'm going to say it was the best match of the night. Cruiserweight title match between Tozawa and Neville. Very good match, actually. Ended with Neville missing the red arrow. And then Tozawa, I don't know, I was going to say Akira, but my mind was saying Tozawa. Tozawa goes to the top, hits the senton bomb, wins the match. He's the new Cruiserweight champion. And the crowd was actually pretty, I say hot, but they weren't as hot as they were for, as hot as they were for some of the other stuff on the show. But they're pretty hot for it being a Cruiserweight title match, which sounds terrible to say, but it's the reality of it. The Cruiserweights just aren't over, which sucks because I really think there's a lot of talented guys on the roster. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. There's a lot of people that believe a lot of these guys on the Cruiserweight 205 Live roster that are really, really talented guys. But why on Raw? I mentioned last week, and I kind of counted, and there's even more matches that I forgot about. There's 12 matches at SummerSlam. That's way too many matches for a pay-per-view. I think they just try to make room so there's not so many matches, so they decided to do this on Raw. But I guess we'll find out because they announced that on 205 Live tomorrow, they're going to have a celebration for Tozawa. It's guaranteed. Come on. Neville's going to interrupt it some way, attack Tozawa. This is probably going to lead to the rematch at SummerSlam. But why they break them up so soon? Or not break them up so soon, but why they give us this match so soon and give the title win to Tozawa so soon? I don't know. I don't know if they have bigger plans for Neville coming in the future, and I hope so, because Neville's been doing a great job. I think Neville's really, really has been killing it as a heel. Easily one of the best parts of the show, and he's a Cruiserweight. And I think you need to get him away from that Cruiserweight division while he's hot and have him do something else. I don't know what that something else is. I don't know if you pair him up with someone. I don't know what you do with him. I'd like to see him with the Intercontinental title. However, there's a lot of guys that I would like to see the Intercontinental title. I would like to see, I think Jason Jordan, it's all but announced that they're going to have a match at SummerSlam between Jason Jordan and The Miz. I think Jason Jordan will win that title, and maybe Neville's the guy that takes it off of him. I don't know. But I want to see Neville win. I also wouldn't mind seeing Cass get the title. Cass is going to need something to keep momentum going as well. So I don't know what they're going to do with their Intercontinental title. It's kind of weird what they're going to be doing with these guys. But I think Neville's super, super talented. He's outgrew the Cruiserweight division already, and I think it's time for him to move on to bigger and better things. Maybe the U.S. title. Maybe put him on SmackDown. Trade him. There's a rumor that there's going to be another shakeup at their SummerSlam, which I hope that's not the case. If it is, I hope it's just a smaller shakeup, maybe 2 guys, from each show get switched around. Maybe we get Neville on SmackDown. Who else would I put on SmackDown? Maybe. See, this is a tough one. I think maybe you could put Neville on SmackDown. From SmackDown, maybe move. Maybe give an NXT guy instead to Raw instead of a guy from SmackDown. Maybe we bring up. You can put Dolph on Raw. That'd be fine. Switch those 2 around, Neville for Dolph. And that's a fairly fair trade. Put Dolph on Raw. Put Neville on SmackDown. And then maybe bring up a couple guys from NXT, maybe Hideo Itami to Raw for the Cruiserweight division. And maybe for SmackDown, maybe give them Sanity, or maybe give them, I don't know, Roderick Strong, or if Bobby Roode loses the title, maybe Bobby Roode. But I don't know. I really don't want to see another shakeup, but I would like to see Neville do something. And right now, the Intercontinental title isn't really crowded. There's just a lot of guys that I could see winning that title. I would pick Neville over all of them, but I don't know if WWE would. Anyways, moving on. Big Show was backstage with Enzo. He had a broken hand. He says he won't miss SummerSlam. He's the Big Show, and he's going to show Cass that he's the Big Show. Something along those lines. It was missable. Then we had probably one of the weaker parts of the show, in my opinion. I thought it was a good match. It was Bray versus Finn Balor. The match itself was fine. It was above average. It wasn't like a 5-star barn burner, but nothing really was. The Cruiserweight title match was really good, though. I didn't really like what happened afterwards. But Bray basically had a bucket full of slime, and he slimed Finn Balor, and then they passed it off as acetic liquid. If it was acetic liquid, I think Finn Balor would be in a little bit more trouble than he was. You know what I mean? Like something would. I don't know. It felt weird. I didn't really care for it that much. I was a little hokey. However, the good news is, so I kind of put this part in the middle. I didn't really say this was a negative or bad thing because the match itself was fine, and they continued their match going into SummerSlam. Even though they kind of already gave it to us, but Finn announced that he's going to bring the Demon to SummerSlam, so that's exciting. So the Demon will be at SummerSlam. So we're going to have Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt again, but this time it's going to be the Demon versus the Eater of Worlds and the Eater of Pins. So we're going to see Finn Balor win that match for sure. I had no doubt in my mind. Then we had the weakest part of the show by far, Mickie James versus Emma. This was a quick match. They had a jobber entrance, really. And backstage earlier, I didn't mention this. I kind of skipped over it, but Mickie James at the back. Emma's on her phone, just kind of talking out loud, I guess. Saying, I got this hashtag Emma, give Emma a chance, go in and yada, yada, yada. All these other people getting chances. I don't get nothing. And Mickey's like, well, how about I give you a chance? We have a match tonight. You versus a 6-time women's champion. And Emma's like, okay. So then they have like a 2-minute match. And Mickey went with probably the weakest looking mid kick I've ever saw. This match sucked. The continuation of the burial of Emma. It sucks. I like Emma. She's definitely... She's not the best. I think some people overrate her in-ring work a little bit, honestly. I think she's fine, but I don't think she's that great. I never really thought Paige was great either. I thought they were kind of overrated. At the time, with the women that we had on the roster at the time, yeah, their stuff was good in comparison, but like compared to like Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Alexa, even Naomi too, I don't think they really touch what they can do. They're just not as exciting. They have no heat at all. And Mickie, aside from the NXT TakeOver match she hasn't really looked very good in the ring either as far as on Raw and SmackDown. Granted, she's been nothing but like 2-minute matches, but she hasn't really had a really, really solid match in my opinion. I don't know what they're going to do with Emma. I think they're just going to let her go. I think she's going to leave. They're just burying her to prove a point. That's what it looks like. I don't know if they're, part of me believes maybe they're doing this just to see if maybe there'll be a crowd uprising, get behind her, like a la Daniel Bryan, like a yes movement. We get an Emma movement. I don't see it happening though. But easily the weakest part of the show. Then they announced Jinder versus Cena for the first time tomorrow night on SmackDown. That there's no way that match is going to end clean. But yet again, I said that about Nakamura versus Cena, and it did. So maybe it will. If Jinder could beat Cena at SmackDown, and then you let Baron Corbin beat Cena I said Rusev because they had a match at Battleground. If you have Jinder go over on Cena, and then you have Baron Corbin go over on Cena too, that'd be great. Put these guys over. He's going to be leaving for a while more than likely. Let him leave for a little bit again. Let these guys look very strong heading into their matches, in my opinion. Finn says he'll face Bray. I already mentioned that he's bringing the Demon. Then we had The Miz versus Jason Jordan. This was a very short match because it ended in disqualification because The Miz Taraj interrupted. Hardy's made the save, and then we had a 6-man tag match, which was the 6th match, technically, of the night. It was an okay match. It was a fun, exciting match. The crowds wasn't very behind Jason Jordan at all. In fact, there were boos when he came out, and almost they were light boos. So I don't know if WWE messed with the audio. Sometimes they do that. When John Cena or Roman Reigns comes out, you can just tell that the audio has been tampered with. It kind of sounded like that, so I don't know if they're trying to do that with him, or if maybe the crowd just didn't care enough to boo him. I don't know. But the 6-man tag was fine. The Hardys got the win with the Hardy Boys. I call it the Hardy Boys combination. Twist of Fate, Swanton Bomb, 1, 2, 3. Maybe we'll see Jason Jordan versus The Miz at SummerSlam. I don't know. They didn't announce it yet, but it looks like it would be a match at SummerSlam. So I guess when I do my predictions, if they don't announce it by then, I'll just include it in my predictions. If they do put the match on the show, I think Jason Jordan's probably going to win the title, which I think is a mistake. I think you should wait a little bit longer. That's just my opinion, though. Then we had that was the main event match, but the actual main event of the night was the 4 men for the Universal title coming out. We start off with Brock and Heyman. Heyman says he's going to shoot from the hip. He kind of goes on and on about how his client's kind of being screwed over here. He would prefer, how much bigger would it be if someone could beat him one-on-one and prove that they can slay the beast, but no one could do that. And he's going to go in there. He's going to beat Joe. He's going to beat Braun. He's going to beat Roman. Basically just putting Brock over like he normally does. Crowd was very much behind Brock Lesnar. But he also hinted at UFC said maybe Brock is more fitting to fight in a cage. Hint, literally said that. Joe came out. He said he's going to put Brock to sleep. Braun Strowman came out. Said he was the last man standing. Joe says, no, you weren't, dude. If it wasn't for me, you would have lost. Roman came out to massive boos. Doesn't say a word. Spears Joe, which is good. Braun power slams Roman Reigns. And then Brock and Braun have a bit of a stare down. Security get in the way. They beat up the security. They stare down again. And the crowd at this point is about to explode. You can feel they're about to pop big time for these 2 big men going at it. And then the superstars came in. They broke the fight up. And that was how we ended the show. It was good stuff. Teasing the Brock and Braun. I'm glad they didn't give that away yet because that's going to be big when it happens at SummerSlam. They'll have that stare down again. And when they come to blows, it's going to be a big moment. I don't know who's going to win that match. I'm very happy with any of them winning the match. Even Roman, yes. Don't shoot me. I don't hate Roman as much as other people do. In fact, if nothing, I get a kick out of how much people hate him. And even though he's still booked as the big babyface, in my book, he's very much a heel. And when he comes out, he cuts a promo and he riles everyone up in the crowd. That's a heel move. And I feel like even though he is a babyface, as far as booking position, I still consider him to be a heel. And I get a kick when, people are booing the hell out of him and they put him in situations where he's going to get booed. That's just a cynical side of me. I start laughing when that happens. So I do, and he's not a bad wrestler. Roman's not the worst wrestler in the world at all. He's not the best. He's definitely probably not even top 10, definitely not top 10 in WWE as far as like in-ring workers. But even if you hate Roman, you have to admit when he's in a match with somebody, it's a big match. And him versus Braun Strowman has been awesome. Roman's had great feuds with AJ Styles. He's had great feuds with Daniel. Well, it wasn't a feuds. He had a great match with Daniel Bryan. He's had some great moments in the WWE as far as feuds. He had a decent feud with Seth Rollins. He brings it. He brings the big fights. So, and out of these 4 guys, I want to see Joe win the title at least once before he starts to have his career go on a decline. He's getting older. I think if they're going to put the belt on him, this would be the time. Just let Joe hold the title for a little while. Let him feud with Roman Reigns. Have him feud with a few other guys. Maybe Finn Balor. Have the Finn Balor-Joe match again. You can do Joe versus Bray. You can do once Dean and Ambrose and Seth Rollins kind of fall apart. Maybe have a triple threat match between those 3. There's a lot of things you can do in the meantime. Although I think if I were to guess, and I was a betting man, I would say Roman Reigns is probably going to win, and then hold the title until Mania, where he'll have his rematch with Brock, beat Brock, and he'll just go on to be the top babyface once again. You can have the Miz. You know, Miz would be a good matchup. You can have him face in the meantime Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, the Miz. I'm trying to think, maybe Elias even. Maybe Elias can get a shot just to kind of run through some of the heels on the roster until Brock Lesnar comes back and you do the big Brock versus Roman 2 match at WrestleMania, which has been the plan for a while, speculated, of course, by Dave Meltzer. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with these guys? Anyways, guys, that's my Raw review. Let me know what you guys thought of the show in the comment section below. For me, it's a really good show. I enjoyed it. I was pretty hyped up for the main event stuff. I'm very excited for that match. I'm very curious to see who they're going to go with. Brock may keep the title. Maybe this is all a ruse. Who knows? But I'm excited to see it nonetheless. The only weak part of the show was definitely Mickie James versus Emma. That match sucked. There's nothing to it. I just feel bad for Emma. Wish they would treat her better. Wish they would treat Mickie better too. You know, she's basically a legend at this point, and they should definitely put her in the Hall of Fame sometime in the near future. But I don't know. I feel bad for these two women. They got a dead spot on Raw. They had like a 2-minute match, and they're just burying the shit out of Emma to prove a point. And I don't know why they're doing that. They do that to her, but they won't do anything like that to Paige. With everything that Paige has done, it's just kind of weird, you know, how they pick and choose who they do that to. The stuff at the beginning was awesome with Seth and Dean. Really enjoyed that. The Nia versus Sasha match was actually really good. I was kind of surprised. The Elias stuff was awesome. Cass and Enzo stuff was really good too. The Cruiserweight title match, best match of the night by far. Bray versus Finn Balor was okay. You know, I didn't like the whole slime. This isn't Nickelodeon, but we got slime. But otherwise, everything was pretty good. Anyways, guys, let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Are you guys excited for SummerSlam? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to thumb this video up, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, guys, I am the Maverick Mark Daniels. Bidding you farewell, peace, and one love.